Good morning Year 6 and welcome to our next home learning lesson. Today's learning objective is to multiply pairs of unit fractions. Here's a quick starter activity. I'd like you to list down the pairs of factors for these numbers: 24, 36, 48 and 54. So here's a quick recap. So what is a factor? Factors are pairs of numbers that can be multiplied together to create the given number. For example, the given number here is 10. We can multiply 1 and 10 to make 10, and 2 and 5. So pause the video and list down the pairs of factors that make 24, 36, 48 and 54. So here are the answers. For 24, you can multiply 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. For 36, we have 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, and 6 and 6. For 48, we have 1 and 48, 2 and 24, 3 and 16, 4 and 12, and 6 and 8. And finally, for 54, we have 1 and 54, 2 and 27, 3 and 18, 6 and 9. Make sure you add any pairs of factors that you missed to your lists. So I hope you all had a great Christmas and you haven't eaten too much. Because Mr. Stringer has got some cake left over from Christmas and I would like to share it with you. Here is the leftover cake I have. I have half a chocolate cake, I have a third of a Victoria sponge, and I have a fifth of a roly-poly. So if we ate half of this cake, the chocolate cake, what fraction of the whole cake would that be? That's right, this would leave a quarter. If we look at this as a number sentence, we would have 1/2 times 1/2 equals 1/4. Now it helps to read the times sign as of when multiplying a fraction. So this would be 1/2 of 1/2 equals 1/4. That makes a little bit more sense. Let's try this with the Victoria sponge. So if we ate half of this cake, what fraction of the whole cake would that be? So this would leave 1/6, as there are 2/6 in 1/3. So half of this is 1/6. Again, let's look at that as a number sentence. And remember, it's helpful to read the time sign as of when multiplying. So that would be 1/2 of 1/3. And we know that is 1/6. So what do you notice about these multiplications? If we are finding a fraction of what is left, we cannot end up with more than we started with. This is unusual, as often when we're multiplying whole numbers, for example 5 times 3, we get a bigger answer than either of the numbers in the multiplication. With fractions that are less than 1, when we multiply them, for example, to find out 1/2 of 1/4, we get 1/8, which is smaller than either 1/2 or 1/4. So how do we multiply fractions? Here's an example to help. It's very simple. First, we multiply the numerators. That's the top numbers. In the example, that would be 2 times 3. 2 times 3 we know gives us 6. So 6 is our new numerator. Then we multiply the denominators. Here in the example, that would be 4 times 6. And we know that 4 times 6 is 24, making our new denominator 24. This gives us the new fraction of 6/24. Now we know that we can simplify that fraction, and we simplify the fraction by dividing the numerator and the denominator by their largest common factor. And that's where our starter comes in. It's important to know the factors. So when we simplify this fraction, we know that we can simplify it to 1/4, because the common factor for 6 and 24 is 6. There are 1/6 in 6, and there are 4 6s in 24. Time for a quick task. Can you work out what half of these fractions are using multiplication? Here's an example. Half of 1/4 equals 1/8. Remember, I've changed the multiplication sign to the word of. I'd like you to find out half of 1/6, 1/4 and 1/8. Pause the video now and write these down in your home learning book. Let's check those answers. So, 1/2 of 1/6 is 1/12. 1/2 of 1/4 is 1/8. And 1/2 of 1/8 is 1/16. So over Christmas I have had plenty of leftovers, so I've brought them in for you. We have half a pizza left, we have a third of an apple pie left, and we have a quarter of a ham and mushroom quiche. So if you ate a quarter of this pizza, what fraction of the pizza would that be? Remember, use your multiplication of fractions knowledge to help you. Pause the video now and give this a go. So if we have half left and we split it into 4 equal parts, we can use a calculation 1/2 times 1/4, or 1/2 of a quarter. Pause the video now and see if you can answer this calculation. And remember to use the techniques that I've shown you earlier in today's lesson. So that's right, 1/2 of 1/4 is 1/8, because 2 times 4 is 8 and 1 times 1 is 1. So we've worked together to share half of this pizza into quarters. This time you're going to do this on your own. I'd like you to share the third of the apple pie into quarters and the quarter of the ham and mushroom quiche into quarters again. So you're sharing the last two into 4 equal parts. Remember to use your fraction multiplication knowledge that you've learnt in this lesson. Pause the video now and attempt this on your own. So if you're still unsure, here's a little bit of extra help. The calculations you should have written down are 1/3 times 1/4 and 1/4 times 1/4. Remember, when we're reading this out, it's helpful to replace the times symbol with the word of, but only when we're reading it out. So that would be 1/3 of 1/4 and 1/4 of 1/4. Now you've got this extra bit of help, pause the video and give it a go. Now if you're still unsure, here's a quick recap of how to multiply fractions. Firstly, we multiply the numerators, the top two numbers. Then we multiply the denominators, the bottom two numbers. And then we will get the new fraction, the answer. We may need to simplify that fraction by dividing the numerator and denominator by their largest common factor. Now you've got this extra bit of help, pause the video and give these two questions a go. So let's check those answers. So 1/3 of 1/4 is 1/12 because 3 times 4 is 12 and 1 times 1 is 1, making 1/12. And 1/4 of 1/4 is 1/16 because 4 times 4 is 16 and 1 times 1 is 1. Give yourself a pat on the back if you got those two right. And if you're unsure, go back through the video and look at the techniques that we've used to multiply fractions. Maybe you need to freshen up your multiplication knowledge. So log on to Times Table Rockstars and get practicing those times tables, because that will help you when multiplying fractions. Time for today's main task. Complete the worksheets on the Year 6 Home Learning page on the school website. Start with the green to secure your understanding, and then when you feel you have a good understanding, try the orange sheet, and if you would like to challenge yourself, try the blue sheet. Time for today's challenge. Once you've completed all 3 sheets, you can try the challenge activity on the Year 6 Home Learning page. Well done, Year 6. That's the end of another home learning lesson. See you tomorrow for the next Maths home learning lesson.